Hey there, friends. I'm Robert Speta, and this is
Rio's better.
this is Breezy Banter. And we usually talk about random things going on, but today we're gonna look back 13 years. It's been 13 years.
Is it?
March 11th, 2011.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna look back at that today since it's around the anniversary of the 3/11 tsunami.
Yeah.
Uh, that was a long day. So we'll get into that today. We'll talk a little bit about weather outside of that and some other things going on. But I think that's the big topic because that was a day that fundamentally helped shape my career. I know it was our son's first memory.
Yeah. He was scared.
Yeah, I want to hear you talk about it because I know a lot of people that watch remember this tsunami. But I was in Singapore at the time. You were in Yokosuka, Japan, right?
Yes. I planned on going to the mall outside the base. It's really near. But I didn't, and thank God I didn't, because I would have been trapped outside.
Yeah.
Because I heard, like, people who didn't, the people that's just coming into work for the night shift, they couldn't come in.
Well, let's backtrack a little bit here. First off, can you tell me about when the first kind of shock hit?
Oh, I thought it was just a simple earthquake.
Which tells a lot about Japan when the fact that an earthquake starts and you think, maybe it's just a simple earthquake.
Yeah, like I thought, oh, it's nothing, we just came back from the commissary to get food.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to cook. So we were sitting there, and I think I was finishing eating, and then it just started to shake, and I'm like, it's always like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a second one, a third one.
This was all at the same time, though.
Yes, it's like maybe 3 minutes, 5 minutes apart, or less than that. That's when I had to run out to talk to my neighbor. I'm like, what is going on? Mm-hmm. And I think she doesn't know it too, what's going on, until the fourth or fifth one.
Okay, you keep on saying different shakes. Now, was these aftershocks or was it one big long shake? Because the way you're describing it sounds like 5, 6 different earthquakes.
That's how it felt like. It didn't really. I don't think the first one lasted for so long. I don't think so. It just keep on coming though. Like it would stop and then another one. Stop, another one.
Probably the different waves coming on through.
Yeah. But I heard the one in Tokyo, I guess it lasted for a few minutes.
Yeah, I mean, it lasted about 3-4 minutes for most people.
Yeah.
It was a 9.0 earthquake.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that now. Did you go outside after that? Remember, I was on the ship this whole time, so...
Mm-hmm. Like I said, like the third or fourth, that's when I'm like, what is going on to my neighbor? She's like, I don't know. And then, so she went back in, and then I guess she turned on her TV. I think one of my friends on Facebook messaged me, and she's like, oh my God, turn on your TV. Mm-hmm. That's when I saw it.
They saw like the tsunami happening and all that?
Yeah.
Now, I remember I saw that live as well. In Singapore, we were on the ship just out there. And you could see it live, that tsunami coming offshore.
I couldn't grasp it. Like, it's happening here? Where? Mm-hmm. Is it just outside? So I had to run back to my neighbor and ask her, like, do you know where it is? Like, do you know more information? Because I think her husband is out in the ship too. So it was just us. Yeah. And then after that, there's a few more aftershocks that we had to really get out of the building. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's when the building got a crack.
Oh, yeah, I do remember there was a big crack in front of it. But, yeah. I mean, you went back inside because there was a tsunami warning there as well, right?
The very last aftershock, they really, they used the big alarms inside the house. You remember that? Mm-hmm. The lights turned off and those big alarms started going on. And then there's lights. That's why Desmond got scared of that.
Yeah, because that's what he always says. That's kind of one of his first memories.
Yeah,
is the alarms going on.
It got like our lights that was on. It got turned off, and it was just that light going on, and it's like doing the alarm. So I think that freaked him out, and he cried. And I'm like, it's okay, let's go down. So the Navy really told us like, hey, something's really bad's going on. There's a tsunami. You guys need to go to the 6th floor.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my neighbor. I'm like, do you know how long it is? I'm terrible with watching news, but she does. She turned on to the Navy channel. What is that? I forgot what it's called.
It's like a Pacific Forces channel.
Yeah, that's just for the base.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, of course.
So she tuned in and that, so she knows more than me. And she's like, we just gotta stay on top. Yeah.
I mean,
I think
that's a tsunami warning.
Yeah.
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 I know the base did get it. They there was reports about 1 to 2 meter high in the bay there. So
yeah, I think so.
It wasn't enough to flood the house. It's just, I think the bigger thing is the scare and everything. Now, thankfully, we didn't have any. Was there any damage in the house or anything, like pictures fall off the walls or anything like that?
What do you mean?
Inside our apartment.
Oh no, there's no damage inside the apartment, but you can see
our
tower.
But and nothing like fridge didn't fall over or anything like that. So we were lucky in that sense. We were pretty lucky.
And then, of course, like I said, I didn't watch the news that you're not supposed to go out.
Okay, now you're skipping ahead here.
What?
You mean go outside after Fukushima Daiichi started to have issues?
No, that day.
Oh, that day with the tsunami currently ongoing.
When the tsunami advisory is gone, I had the bright idea to go to my friend's house, and she lives by the bay there. Like when you get into her house, you can see the Tokyo Bay.
Yeah.
Far there, and I remember seeing fires.
On the other. That was looking out towards Chiba. You saw fires.
Yes. Like, it was surreal. I remember that.
Really?
Like, I just got out of my car and I just stood there for a few minutes and I'm like, is this really what's going on? And I was thinking, oh my god, so in Tokyo it might be much.
And there was some pretty decent damage in Tokyo.
Yeah. But I didn't really know how big it was. Yeah.
So this is the first day, a long day. How long did the warnings keep going off for you in your area? So the tsunami warnings were in place for 3-4 days afterwards.
Oh, that was a blur for me. Because so after that, my friend was telling me you should watch the channel for the Navy, and I started watching that, and they just keep on telling us. Make sure everything is closed, your windows, your doors. Make sure there's no wind coming in your apartment because of the...
Okay, so now we're skipping ahead to the radiation fallout, which Fukushima Daiichi, unfortunately, if you've been under a rock, Fukushima Daiichi, hit by the tsunami, meltdown, just a whole catastrophic failure. And then the winds started blowing, picking up the radiation, and being supported by the American government, they did take care of you guys.
Oh yeah, they did. But like the first week that happened, they really told us not to get out. And I think like the 3rd or 2nd day, they told us to go to the hospital to get the little
iodine pills.
Yes, the drops.
Yeah.
And after that, my friend was scared of, there might still be a tsunami, and since she's really near the water, she stayed with us
which is fair
for a day. Yeah.
I mean, a good portion of the coast was just destroyed. I wouldn't want to be on the waterfront either.
And then after that, since her husband is with you, the same ship as you, he's the one to actually told us that I think there's the Navy is telling for the family to get out of Japan. Yeah.
And so you went to there, and you end up getting a ticket back.
Yes.
What was that process like?
For me, it was easy because you were at the 7th Fleet. You know.
I was the Admiral's like
yeah.
forecaster, so
I got out, and I was so surprised too, because everybody's like, "Why are you going in the front line?" I'm like, "I don't know. They just told me to go in the front there." And all my other friends got out like maybe 3 weeks in. The other one was a month in, but I was already in the States. Yeah.
It's wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Because,
You got basically a free ticket.
Yes.
Back home for a couple months while I was out to sea.
Yeah. They even told us that actually we don't know when you guys are coming back.
Yeah, it was the same thing for us when we were in the ocean floating around. We were like, we don't know when we're going to pull back in, if we will ever pull back in. We obviously did. Didn't turn out to be a Chernobyl type catastrophe, but that was a very serious worry, which is something I thought I'd never run into in my lifetime. But
they told us that too. Like, we were like, what about our stuff? Like, our couches and all that. And they're like, well, that's it.
Like, it's gone.
It's gone.
Like, there was sincere worries that like that whole coastline would be, and even Tokyo, there was some worry that Tokyo would be radiated pretty bad as well.
Yes, but I remember, like we tried to watch the local news. I think there was a panic too to get out of Japan. Yeah, and it actually became against the law at one point to have Geiger counters and things like that in Tokyo. Yeah. My former colleagues at NHK said that whole time like nobody was outside. It was really weird to go like to Shibuya in the middle of the day and there was 0 people walking around. Oh, wow.
And at the same time, the power was out as well because they were saving electricity because half the power was gone. Yeah, half the power plants were out. Like, it wasn't just Fukushima Daiichi, but all the nuclear ones were shut off.
I mean, they were telling us we were kind of okay because I guess the base has its own power supply.
Yeah.
But they were saying, maybe we should save it. You know?
They don't want to.
We don't know how long it's going to stay this way. And we're like, all right.
Yeah. But and now the flip things, this whole time, I was in Singapore on the ship, and I was actually on watch, and my job was to inform the Admiral about when things are going down and what's happening across the Pacific Ocean. So if there's a typhoon happening, I tell him, hey, ships need to get out of the way of said typhoon, all that, yada, yada, yada. So when that first went down, I actually got a phone call from somebody aboard a ship out there who was like, hey, a big earthquake just happened. I was like, all right, okay, let me check JMA. And it came out as a 9.2 originally. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That's when I like burst into the Admiral's room. I was like, hey, it's going down. Like, there's some serious stuff happening. And that's when we turned on the TV. You could see that live coverage of the tsunami. Within that time period, I did give you a call.
Yeah.
And it was simply, hey, get upstairs, get to somewhere safe. And that was the last I talked to you.
I think this was like, I don't know, because I remember like a Navy guy knocking in my door, and he's like, "Hey, wellness check." And I'm like, "What? Yeah. Why?" I think
because they're afraid some people might have had like a fridge fall on them or something like that too.
Okay.
You know, because it was a pretty big quake.
Yeah.
So and then I called you, and then I was awake for over 24 hours straight because we were following the tsunami wave, plotting buoys and its movement, warning the other ships, not the ones out to sea, but the ones like in Okinawa, the ones in Sasebo, the ones in Guam. Actually, there was damage to a submarine in Guam because they didn't listen to I think they listened to the warning. They just didn't have a full crew to get the ship out fast enough. So that actually ran up against the pier and some pretty decent damage to one of their nuclear submarines out there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that was when I finally went to bed that day. It was a long day. I tell you.
I think I didn't sleep too because we were scared. I think I just kept watching that Navy stuff.
I would be too. I mean, you just want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the radiation fallout happened. And what happened was, you mentioned the start of it, the United States Navy, and just being allies with Japan, we sent a fleet of ships straight to Tohoku right off the bat, the first day or two, to help with recovery. We were trying to get there real quick. So I think it was the Roosevelt, was a big aircraft carrier, was right off the coast of Fukushima, out towards the Iwate area, and it got blasted by radiation. And still to this day, they're trying to get reimbursed. Some sailors are suing, yada yada. But the point is, it got radiated. So that's when they brought in just a team of us, and we started plotting the radiation fallout, which is also something I thought I would never have to do in my career. I bring that up because one of my coworkers at the TV station just asked me the other day. They pointed out one of my medals I have in my shadow box there, and said, "What's that for?" And I said, "Well, that's because I'm one of only a few meteorologists alive who've ever plotted radiation fallout." Like, oh, like,
it's crazy.
Like, so you do that. Anything that comes along with like a thunderstorm is nothing. Like, and I think it probably is the same thing with you. Like, you've been through it. Some pretty, I mean, thankfully the house was not damaged too much, but I think the stress levels, like you were hit by that stress level.
Yeah, afterwards, because when it was happening, I was clueless. Like, I don't know, because I was kind of awake the whole day that day too. I was watching Korean telenovela. I was binging it. So thank God I did that, because if I didn't and I slept early, I would have left 7 o'clock.
So this is a look into the wife of a sailor. She ain't running around. I don't ever have to worry about her sneaking off with some guy. This is what she did. She didn't want to cook dinner that day, so she went and bought some fast food, and she watched Korean soap operas all day.
The night before, because I planned on going to the mall at 7 in the morning. And oh my God, if I did go there, could you just imagine?
I think you would have been able to get back in. You would have been walking in.
No.
They would have let you in right off the bat.
Probably if they saw where you are.
Yeah, and you've been like, my car's parked over there, because you would have walked to the mall,
and
right?
I got Desmond. He's like,
they're not going to make you stand outside the gate.
But I remember, like, one of my friends, she, did she live in the base? I think she used to live in the base.
See, if she doesn't live there, then I get it.
No, she used to live in the base, and she did something outside.
Yeah.
And I think it took her about 3 hours or 4 hours to get in.
Well, like, big line and everything.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah.
But it was a long day. And you know what? And I have to really stress this. We were lucky.
Yeah.
You got sent out. Our house wasn't damaged. I was out to sea. I was out to sea for about 2-3 months. I mean, it was a long time plotting radiation fallout and everything, but thankfully we were able to get back to our stuff, and the evacuations were lifted and everything, like in June. But I remember actually when I first got into the car, I got back before you did. You were still in the United States. I got into the car and I started driving it for the first time, and I got to a red light and it started going, nun, nun, nun. And
the car?
Yeah, the car was shaking. And it was like, boom, boom. And I was, what the hell? Oh no, the car's been sitting in this spot for like 3 months. It must be broken. And I turned to my side, and there's like this young sailor just standing there like, oh, thank God, it's just an aftershock. It was like a 7.0, but it was pretty big, but it was shaking the car around.
That's what I forget. After that, there was like, every day after that, there would have one earthquake.
And they weren't joke earthquakes. They were like 7.0s, 8.0s. They were big quakes.
Yeah, the next, 1 week or 2 weeks, it would have earthquakes. It was, I forgot about that part.
Well,
and you know what? Maybe I didn't feel it because I was driving home when it happened, the long earthquake that you guys are talking about. Like that day, I told you I was coming off the commissary, and I think one of my friends was telling me it started around 2:00, and I was driving home.
Okay, that's a change in your story.
I don't know. I just remembered when you told me that. Yeah. So
you would have felt it. You would have felt
probably,
the 9.0 when you were driving. Yeah. You obviously are very clueless because your story is bouncing around right now.
Like I said, I didn't have sleep that day. Yeah. And then it just shook me. You know what I mean? Oh my God. Yeah. So.
Well, it was a long day for all of us. Hey, if you're watching this and you also went through it, I would love to hear your story as well. We were one of the lucky ones. I know our friends up in Tohoku, north of Tokyo, it was not so lucky for too many people. And then we went to visit some of our friends up in Fukushima. Remember, their whole foundation was cracked, and like they were in the city, not Daiichi, but the city just towards the west Fukushima city, home of several million people. Their house was pretty wrecked. And like the ground was shifted. Road was split in spots, and that was not affected by the tsunami. That was just pure earthquake.
Yeah.
And then of course the town's just completely wiped out, which are just it's
remember
crazy.
Our neighbors in Tokyo too, they were talking about that.
Yeah.
And he used to live on the 5th floor of our apartment.
He said there was actually damage in Tokyo at our place. It was some roofing and things like that. So it was a long day. But on that note, I mean, I don't know how to shift off from that. Just the mere fact that it has been 13 years.
Yeah.
Now when I feel an earthquake, if we felt one in Florida, I'd probably be a little panicked.
Oh yeah, me too, definitely.
But there in Japan,
it's normal.
Like even for several years afterwards, I would see earthquake reports, and it would be like a 6.5 in like the Philippines or something, and I would be like, yeah, suck it up. Like I know they're big earthquakes, but. I've been worse.
Well, for me, I don't really freak out on the earthquake in Japan because I know like the buildings and stuff is made for it. Mm-hmm. You know, like I wouldn't be like, oh no, something might follow me. I'm like, nah, it's fine. I'll walk around still. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I think that's why I'm like, whatever.
I think in Tokyo, the biggest problem is like the train stops. You're like, I'm gonna be late.
Yeah.
When there's a decent earthquake, but you get the notification on your phone and everything too, so at least you know what's coming. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that's an episode of Breezy Banter today. This one was a little bit more somber than our normal updates, our normal ones, but we did want to kind of touch in on, the March 11th tsunami.
I mean, just living in Asia, I mean, I've been to 2 major catastrophe, I guess. Mm-hmm. That Pinatubo one.
Yeah.
And then this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there's another, big storm, but
you went through,
remember.
Not Maria.
I don't remember because I was young, but yeah.
The big one that hit Manila. What was its name? Oh, everybody in the comments are going to be like, it was this one. Like in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, because I remember we wouldn't have electricity for
But you
3
told me
months.
like all of Cavite City was flooded, right?
Yeah, and no electricity. So guess what? Doing homework with a candlelight, it sucked.
I grew up where it snowed a lot, and that was it. Thankfully, with snow, it just melts in a couple days. We did have a couple ice storms that would knock the electricity out. Ice storms are a big pain. But thankfully we had a wood stove, so we never really froze. But never like that. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
Crazy life. Anyways. I think on that note, we're going to end it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I was going to change over to some lighter stuff, but it's a tough one today. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please let me know. As always, thanks for watching. I'm Robert Spetta.
And I'm Rio
Spetta. And that's my wife, that's not my sister. And if you have any questions, though, let me know. And if you have any stories you want to share or what you would like us to talk about in a future podcast, please let us know as well. And stay safe out there.
Yep.
Bye.